Today, I'm talking about Uncharted, a movie coming from director Ruben Fleischer, starring Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. The movie version of Uncharted tells the origin story of a young Nathan Drake, who is recruited by Syria's fan favorite Victor Sullivan to find a long-lost pirate fortune. About a month ago, I bought a PlayStation 4 from my very good friend. I've always been an Xbox guy, though, my entire life. I've only owned, I think, PlayStation 1 when I was maybe 3 years old, and it wasn't even mine, it was my older brother's PlayStation. So the PS4 is my first official time owning a PlayStation. And the main reason why I've always wanted a PS3 or 4 was to play the Uncharted franchise. So what I immediately did after my purchase was head to my local library, rent the Nathan Drake collection. I played all 3 games over the course of 2 weeks, and then for Christmas I got Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. I heard so many great things about this game over the last 6 years, so I knew I had to play it, and I'm about halfway through the game. Another reason why I played through all the games was to get a good grip on what the Uncharted franchise has brought to fans since 2007, especially because we got an Uncharted movie starring Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. It's in theaters now. It actually did pretty good this weekend at the box office, but is it a good movie? Well, I think the best part about Uncharted is how it follows the Uncharted formula from the games. It opens the same way the second and fourth games opened up, where Nathan is in the middle of his action sequence. Us as players and now as viewers have no idea what's going on, but all we know is that it's likely taking place towards the end of the movie, but this is how the movie opens too. And it's just entertaining enough to where I wouldn't mind revisiting this movie somewhere down the line. It's not a great movie by any means. It's actually not even a good movie, but it still has those Uncharted isms that we all love seeing in the games, and to bring them back here for audiences to experience in a movie theater, that's something that myself and many other fans will appreciate. It's a movie inspired by a video game after all. If you don't have the video game elements in your movie, then some fans will complain a lot, and I'm sure it's not going to go over well. You need to have those same elements in order to make this movie work. Otherwise, it would just be like Tomb Raider or Indiana Jones or some other treasure hunting movie. There's also this great short cameo that made me chuckle. This person definitely deserved, at the very least, an appearance in this film after all the work they did for the franchise over the years. And the movie sets up a sequel pretty nicely. But that's about it. There's nothing else good I have to say about the Uncharted movie. This is a disappointing film, and it could have been done so much better. The biggest problem I have with Uncharted is the movie's action. The one thing in Uncharted that needed to work that unfortunately didn't connect with me. The reason I say that is because everything else outside of the action is standard. If you've played the Uncharted games, you know where this movie is going when the action isn't happening. There's clues, there's exposition, you get all of that, and it's not the most exciting stuff. So you make up for less thrilling scenes with outstanding action sequences, and this is what the Uncharted games are known for. They have some of the best set pieces of any video game franchise out there. Uncharted is known for this stuff. The movie does have some cool action sequences and fun ones, but they don't live up to the expectations anyone would have for an Uncharted movie. And that's because they over-rely on CGI. I said the same thing in my review for Death of the Nile. The movie would look beautiful if only they were on location and shot actual footage of the Nile River. While there is some of it, most of the movie with the backgrounds and everything is CGI. The same goes for the Uncharted movie. The action sequences for a majority of the time are filled with CGI. It simply doesn't look good. If you don't film on location or if you don't use practical effects, it's not going to hold up. I think it's fine for 2022, but in 10 years, it's not going to look good anymore. I wish more movie studios could make action sequences that look similar to other action movies like Mission Impossible Fallout, Mad Max Fury Road, the James Bond movies with Daniel Craig like Skyfall and Casino Royale. Those movies all look great, but in this movie, you can tell it's mostly CGI and doesn't look good. So that fell flat for me, along with the humor. There weren't too many laughs in the film. My theater probably only laughed 1 or 2 times. I know some people will complain about the villains getting wasted. I'm not going to spend much time complaining about that because Uncharted has never had great villains in any of the video games. They're all basic, generic, whatever you want to call them. And the same goes for this movie. The villains aren't great. They're just okay. They do what they have to do in order to move the plot along and give Nathan and Sully tons of trouble, but they're nothing to write home about. It is what it is. I don't really care that much about how bad the villains are in this movie. Mostly for me, outside of the action, it's the characters and the actors that portray the characters in the movie that really disappointed me. I'll put this out there. I really like Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. They are two of my favorite actors working in Hollywood right now. If I knew these guys, I feel like they could be really good friends of mine, especially Tom Holland since he's closer to my age. I just want to have a beer with that kid. He seems so cool. So my problem with these actors isn't their acting, it's just that they don't feel like the characters we've grown to love in the Uncharted franchise. For one, I don't buy Tom Holland or Mark Wahlberg as Nathan Drake or Victor Sullivan. They don't look like them, sound like them, or feel like them. There's nothing about them that reminds me of either one of those iconic PlayStation characters. Secondly, they somewhat changed the characters of Drake and Sully in the movie. For instance, Drake doesn't seem like he wants to kill anybody in the movie, whereas Drake in the video games has no problem with killing 1,000 or more guys if he wants to get to the treasure. But that does not happen in this movie. I don't even know if he kills anybody, maybe just one guy, and after he kills him, he apologizes about it, which feels more like Peter Parker and not as much Nathan Drake. So those are my biggest problems with the Uncharted movie. It's not that bad as some people are saying. I actually will be more lenient on the score too, because as I said at the beginning of this review, it's just entertaining enough to where I could see myself watching it at least one more time in the future, but it's not nearly as good as it could have been. Had they used more practical effects and less CGI in the action sequences, this movie would have rocked, and had they casted actors that actually felt like the real life versions of Nathan Drake and Victor Sullivan, I would love this movie. I think the only reason why Tom or Mark were casted in these roles is because they are A-listers, and A-listers sell. Maybe the movie wouldn't have done as well if Nathan Fillion played Nathan Drake in this movie. I'm giving Uncharted a 55%. Believe it or not, my favorite part of the movie is when two songs are played. One of them is played when Nate is doing some research that I thought was a jam, and then the other comes during the credits that I loved. Both of those songs I've been listening to on repeat. I cannot wait to listen to them some more. Of course though guys, for those of you who also saw Uncharted this weekend, be sure to let me know down below in the comment section what your thoughts are of it. And of course, as always, if you are new to my channel, click that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.